Patanjali Yoga Sutra part 1 shlok number 31. Dukh dormanasya ang mejayatva shwas prashwasa vikshev sa bhuva. Grief, mental distress, tremor of the body, irregular breathing, accompany non-retention of concentration. Commentary on Sri Patanjali Yoga Sutra by Swami Vivekananda. Concentration will bring perfect repose to mind and body every time it is practiced. When the practice has been misdirected or not enough controlled, these disturbances come. Repetition of Om and self-surrender to the Lord will strengthen the mind and bring fresh energy. The nervous shakings will come to most everyone. Do not mind them at all, but keep on practicing. Practice will cure them and make the seed firm. Number 32. Tat prati shedhard mekat tatpa abhyasah. To remedy this, the practice of one subject should be made. Commentary on Sri Patanjali Yoga Sutra by Swami Vivekananda. Making the mind take the form of one object for some time will destroy these obstacles. This is general advice in the following aphorism. It will be expanded and particularized as one practice cannot suit everyone. Various methods will be advanced and everyone by actual experience will find out that which helps him most. Number 33. Maitri Karuna Mudito Pekshanam Sukh Dukha Punya Punya Vishyanam Bhavana Tascha Chitta Prasadanam. Friendship, mercy, gladness, and indifference being thought of in regard to subjects, happy, unhappy, good, and evil, respectively, pacify the chitta. Commentary on Sri Patanjali Yoga Sutra by Swami Vivekananda. We must have these four sorts of ideas. We must have friendship for all. We must be merciful towards those they are in misery. When people are happy, we ought to be happy, and to be wicked, we must be indifferent. So, with all subjects that come before us, if the subject is a good one, we shall feel friendly towards it. If the subject of thought is one that is miserable, we must be merciful towards it. If it is good, we must be glad. If it is evil, we must be indifferent. These attitudes of the mind towards the different subjects that come before it will make the mind peaceful. Most of our difficulties in our daily lives come from being unable to hold our minds in this way. For instance, if a man does evil to us, instantly we want to react evil, and every reaction of evil shows that we are not able to hold the chitta down. It comes out in waves towards the object and we lose our power. Every reaction in the form of hatred or evil is so much loss to the mind, and every evil thought or deed of hatred or any thought of reaction, if it is controlled, will be laid in our favor. It is not that we lose by thus restraining ourselves, we are gaining infinitely more than we respect. Each time we suppress hatred or a feeling of anger, it is so much good energy stored up in our favor that piece of energy will be converted into the higher powers. Number 34. Pachdardan Vidharana Bhyam Va Pranasya. By throwing out and restraining the breath. Commentary on Sri Patanjali Yoga Sutra by Swami Vivekananda. The word used is prana. Prana is not exactly breath. It is the name of for the energy that is in the universe. Whatever you see in the universe, whatever moves or works or has life, it is manifestation of this prana. The sum total of the energy displayed in the universe is called prana. The prana before a cycle begins remains in an almost motionless state, and when the cycle begins, this prana begins to manifest itself. It is this prana that is manifested as motion, as the nervous motion in human beings or animals, and the same prana is manifesting as thought, and so on. The whole universe is a combination of prana and akasha. So is the human body. Out of akasha, you get the different materials that you feel and see, and out of prana, all that various forces. Now, this throwing out and restraining the prana is what is called pranayama. Patanjali, the father of the yoga philosophy, doesn't give very many particular directions about pranayama, but later on other yogis found out various things about this pranayama and made of it a great science. With Patanjali, it is one of the many ways, but he doesn't lay much stress on it. He means that you simply throw the air out and draw it in and hold it for some time. That is all, and by that the mind will become a little calmer. But later on, you will find that out of this is evolved a particular science called pranayama. We shall hear a little of what these later yogis have to say. Some of this I have told you before, but a little repetition will serve to fix it in your minds. First, you must remember that this prana is not the breath, but that which causes the motion of the breath. That which is vitality of the breath is the prana. Again, the word prana is used for all the senses. They are all called pranas. The mind is called prana, and so we see that prana is force, and yet we cannot call it force, because force is only the manifestation of it. It is that which manifests itself as force, and everything else in the way of motion. The chitta, the mind stuff, is the engine which draws the prana from the surroundings and manufactures out of prana the various vital forces, those that keep the body in preservation, and thought, will, and all other parts. By the above mentioned process of breathing, we can control all the various motions in the body and the various nerve currents that are running through the body. First, we begin to recognize them, and then we slowly get control over them. Now, these later yogis considers that there are three main currents of this prana in the human body. One they call ida, another pingla, and the third shushmana. Pingla, according to them, is on the right side of the spinal column, and the ida on the left, and in the middle of the spinal column is the shushmana, an empty channel. Ida and pingla, according to them, are the currents working in every man, and through these currents we are performing all the functions of life. Shushmana is present in all as the possibility, but it works only in the yogi. You must remember that yoga changes body. As you go on practicing, your body changes. It is not the same body that you had before the practice. That is very rational and can be explained, because every new thought that we have must make as it were a new channel through the brain, and that explains the tremendous conservatism of human nature. Human nature likes to run through the routes that are already there, but it is easy if we think, just for example's sake, that the mind is like a needle and the brain substance a soft lump before it. then each thought that we have makes a street, as it were, in the brain, and this street would close up. But for the grey matter which comes and makes a lining to keep it separate, if there were no grey matter, there would be no memory, because memory means going over these old streets, retracing a thought, as it were. Now, perhaps you have marked that when one talks on subjects in which one takes a few ideas that are familiar to everyone and combines and recombines them, it is easy to follow, because these channels are present in everyone's brain and it is only necessary to recur them. But whenever a new subject comes, new channels have to be made, so it is not understood readily, and that is why it is the brain and not the people themselves, refuses unconsciously to be acted upon by new ideas. It resists. The prana is trying to make new channels and the brain will not allow it. This is the secret of conservatism. The fewer channels there have been in the brain, and the less the needles of the prana has made these passages, the more conservative will be the brain, the more it will struggle against new thoughts. The more thoughtful the man, the more complicated will be the streets in his brain, and the more easily he will take to new ideas and understand them. So, with every fresh idea, we make a new impression in the brain, cut new channels through the brain stuff, and that is why we find that in the practice of yoga, it being an entirely new set of thoughts and motives, there is so much physical resistance at first. That is why we find that the part of religion which deals with the world side of nature is so widely accepted, while the other part, the philosophy or the psychology, which deals with the inner nature of man, is so frequently neglected. We must remember the definition of these worlds of ours. It is only the infinite existence projected into the plane of consciousness. A little of the infinite is projected into consciousness, and that we call our worlds. So, there is an infinite beyond, and religion has to deal with both, with the little lump we call our world, and with the infinite beyond. Any religion which deals with one only of these two will be defective. It must deal with both. The part of religion which deals with the part of the infinite which has come into the plane of consciousness got itself caught, as it were, in the plane of consciousness, in the cage of time, space, and causation, is quite familiar to us, because we are in that already, and ideas about this world have been with us almost from time immemorial. The part of religion which deals with the infinite beyond comes entirely new to us. The getting ideas about it produces new channels in the brain, disturbing the whole system, and that is why you find in the practice of yoga, ordinary people are at first turned out of their grooves in order to lessen these disturbances as much as possible. All these methods are devised by Patanjali, that is, we may practice any one of them best suited to us. Hari Om Tat Sat.